Hello there. I'm Otter, and welcome to another episode of My Anime Academia. Do 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 do. If you are just joining us, weird place to pick up because this is part 2 of my Revolutionary Girl Utena watch through. If you're looking for part 1, should be linked up there or in the description, or it's linked somewhere. You'll find it. But yeah, if you don't know what's going on here, I found this article in Den of Geek about the best queer anime that's out there. Realized I'd only watched one of them, Yuri on Ice, so I figured I'd watch through all of them. This is part 2 of my watch through of Revolutionary Girl Utena. I broke the 39 episodes down into 13 episode chunks because it's easier to talk about smaller portions. Yeah, this is the second general story arc in the series, and I'm going to watch it on the couch, make some little comments in my phone cam selfies. Then I'll come back here and we'll talk about it a little bit more in depth. What I liked, what I didn't like, and how I think it does in queer representation. So, without further ado, let's go to me and probably the cat on the couch. Alright, starting right out with some new villains. It's nice that they're breaking away from the I must possess the Rose Bride to I must possess to kill the Rose Bride. I mean, obviously, like, I don't want Himemiya to die, but it's nice to see a different motivation and a new antagonist popping in. I'm intrigued to see where this goes. Himemiya has a brother. That's who was introduced in the recap episode. Makes sense. And oh shit, they like froze his girlfriend's heart to try to duel Himemiya. I have a feeling that we're gonna get a lot of Black Rose duelists in this next chunk here. Okay, so now we got Mickey's sister. And yeah, she doesn't like that he has a crush on Himemiya. So she also goes to the confessional elevator, I guess I'll call it, where they say why they don't like Himemiya and go deeper and deeper. And the butterfly turns into a caterpillar and then back into an egg. And then he's like, oh, hey, I get it. Here, take this black rose. Go kill her. Yeah. I have a feeling that's this pattern. Yeah, lots of butterfly symbols. And oh, I always keep forgetting to mention the the shadow girls that comment like Greek chorus style. They're just I like that little touch. Yeah. Oh right, and she pulls the sword out of Mickey's chest. Like the student council have swords in their chests too, apparently. And I have a feeling it's going to be Juri and then Nanami next. But we'll see. Also, the dueling arena is now a bunch of desks of the 100 dead duelists, which, like, 100 dead duelists are buried under this school, apparently. But yeah, it's all their desks, and each one has different symbolic items. So the first one was lilies. I think that was just like lilies are symbolic of death, and then the second one has the jars of the milkshakes that they would drink. Yeah, with the outlines of the dead students on the ground. But I've noticed that the duels are more pans across while you hear swords in the background, and you're not actually looking at it, so they don't have to animate fighting every time. Okay then, the cowbell. That's more of the absurdism. The mailman got confused by a cow named Nanami. It's ridiculous watching her turn into a cow. Oh. Silly, silly, silly. Oh, poor Juri. It's just like I feel like a fear a lot of people have is that their friends are just faking being friends with them, or at least people with social anxiety like me. But oh no, the biggest fears for a lot of queer people, I think, is having a crush on a straight person and them just hating you for it. Poor Jury. Interesting symbolism with the birds this time. The bird that ran into the window and killed itself. But yeah, I should have known it was going to be the little kid that would take the swords from Nanami. Oh, he just wanted to be a grown up. Oh. And she had two swords, or a sword and a parrying dagger, it looked like. Interesting. On the chocolate bar, they're like, oh no, adults don't eat candy bars, so I'm gonna throw the candy bar away. And that was his symbol in the fight. Jury totally hit the nail on the head with one of the major themes of this show, which is unrequited love. So Wakaba's story with her onion prince and the boy that she was childhood friends with. It's a lot of playing at your assumptions here with the, oh well, she must be in love with him. Oh nope, she's in love with someone else. And then him going to the counseling and the elevator starting to go down, but he's actually a good person, so they can't corrupt his heart, so they send him away. And then the return of the student council vice president is who she's really in love with, which I guess we should have remembered that from the first episode, right? Because that's who she wrote the love note to in the first episode. But I'd forgotten until he just popped back in there. Oh, poor Wakaba. Yeah. The second he said, oh, I just need one thing from you, I was like, oh shit. Manipulating her with the hair clip and pretending that Saionji gave it to Hamemiya so that Wakaba will get really upset and The duel was great though, with the whole like, I'm not even going to use the sword against her because she's my friend. I can't use the sword against her. And then she disarms Wakaba and uses Wakaba's sword to take the rose off. But poor Wakaba. Alright, so I did not expect pigtails. Keiko? Pigtails to be the next one, but interesting. Although I've started playing a game of guessing what's going to be on the desks, and I guess the umbrella's right. But yeah, it's the like pretending to be Nanami's friend just to get close to Nanami's older brother. Okay, flashback episode with the story of the 100 boys dying. So, Hamamiya's older brother is in charge of all the contracts. So he's the one that's pulling the strings. Is he the end of the world? Or is he like just a representative of the end of the world? But he doesn't age, and neither does Professor What's-His-Face in the flashback. But I swear that the kid that he wanted to save in the flashback is the boy that he wants to turn into the Rose Bride. But that kid's sister came to visit his grave. Did they just tell her that he died, but he's actually like still alive because this school is Neverland? And we also had that thing that they do in anime where they have like a finger like pointing at an important thing in the background that you might not notice otherwise, with the whole like, oh, look, it's her cup. Oh, it's her cup. Oh, it's a butterfly. Oh, it's a leaf now. That thing. which I actually really like that they have that convention of pointing out little details that you might otherwise miss. Well, that was confusing. So it was like he placed a false memory in his head, and he didn't age because he wasn't giving up on this boy that had died. And, oh, yeah, it's just getting, that just made things much more confusing, which is why I'm sure this is the end of this story arc, because things get 10 times more confusing right at the end of the story arc. That's the deal here, huh? Hmm? But like, the building was never rebuilt. So did they ever actually go inside it? Did this story arc even happen? Because we go all the way back to the beginning where they go to the building and the building's actually burned down and it was never rebuilt. And then they just move on. I'm so confused. And it's probably going to be one of those things that they never clarify. Yep, another clip show. So I'm going to end part 2 here after 11 episodes. And I'm going to do 15 episodes for the last part. Yeah, it was just a clip show of the little kid and recalling everything that Nanami has done, basically. All right, then. Second story arc. Yeah, I decided to stop after these 11 episodes because clearly this was the end of the Black Rose arc. After doing a little bit of researching, I've realized that there are 4 major arcs, but the next one is 9 episodes, and the last one is 6 episodes. So I'm just gonna put those 15 together for the final one of these, which hopefully won't extend it too much longer than the other ones have been. I'm trying to keep these under 25 minutes as best as I can. But yeah, let's see. The ending of this one makes me wonder if any of it really happened, because it seems like this antagonizing force wasn't, like, the building wasn't real, and it was a lot of his delusions, but then I feel like the fights still happened. I don't know. That's that's one of those things I almost wish it spelled out a little bit more for us. But yeah, this arc in particular was definitely, I mean, it's all very symbology heavy. There's lots of symbols, but this one was very, very, very like heavy-handed with, like, everyone's got a symbol that like means different things. Like with the butterfly devolving as they devolve down into their anger, so that he can harness their anger to use. I like that they stepped up the stakes a little bit, and that it's not just battling for the possession of Himemiya, but it's actually now the villains want to kill her. So it's, oh, my rose. The villains want to kill her now, so it's much more important that Utena win, because it's not just someone who will get her to do whatever they want her to do, but it's someone who is going to kill her. At the same time, all of the duels almost felt like they had less stakes, because they were all they felt quicker. It felt like it was boom, over and done with. A lot of the people dueling weren't duelists. I almost feel like the duels in the first arc had more of an impact, because the person dueling seemed to be like in it for a personal reason rather than manipulated into this shadow version of themselves, you know? But I do like the higher stakes, so it's a give and take. The definite overarching theme of this arc is unrequited love, which I'm pretty sure is a theme of the entire anime as a whole. It was there in the first arc, but it was just like every single thing was about someone loving someone, but that person not loving them back in the same way. When it comes to queer themes, because I always got to talk about our queer themes, right? We have Juri's story where they make it explicit that she was in love with her female friend. Like, there is no other way to read that scenario. And she lives every queer person who's fallen in love with a straight person's worst nightmare, which is that person finding out and hating you for it. It's awful, and it's awful to watch. But I'm glad that in the end, the girl that she was in love with at least doesn't really have these memories. Although it is really sad that her best friend growing up actually hated her because she was just good at everything. Yeah, I really connect with Juri in this show, of all people. And yeah, you still have Hamemiya and Utena living together, being close. Like, there's a scene where Utena wakes up and Hamemiya has fallen asleep next to her on the table, and they're holding hands, and it's cute. Is her older brother the end of the world? Is he the one that's like actually in charge of everything? He's definitely pulling a lot of strings, and he's definitely manipulating her. Is she real? Like, she's real, but like, is she real? Because this one ends with him standing there with the little boy that was his like proxy for the boy that died, for the antagonist, and then that boy, they cut away and it cuts back and it's Anthony Hamemiya. What? And yeah, I'm sure that it's going to make more sense by the time I get to the end. Not everything is. Like, those flashbacks aren't going to be addressed again. The fact that he just like hallucinated a whole mess of things, possibly, and that there was a building there that wasn't actually there this entire time. In this arc, you get to see another one of my favorite anime tropes, not tropes, anime things that you don't get in Western animation, which is the like finger pointing at the thing in the background to be like, hey, pay attention to this. It's gonna be important in a second. Like or on High School Host Club, if you haven't seen it in the first episode, there's a finger pointing to a vase, and then they break the vase later, and that starts the entire story. And in this one, it was like, oh, hey, look, there's a butterfly on the wall. Oh, now that butterfly's a leaf. You know what that means, because you've been seeing butterfly devolve into leaf. Or like, oh, this is her coffee cup. Her coffee cup's on his desk. Look at it. That means something. It's an interesting way of subtly, yet not subtly at all, telling your audience something. I really enjoyed getting to know some of the side characters a little bit better. These background characters that you had seen affect the main cast that you're focusing on, but they weren't really the focus. They got to be the focus by being taken over by the Black Rose. So you got to see this new set of characters, motivations, and how everything else has affected them. And I really enjoyed that. All in all, I'm really enjoying Revolutionary Girl Utena. Now that I'm a good halfway through it, over halfway through it, almost 2/3 of the way through it, I've accepted a lot of the absurdism. I've accepted things like the random balloons in the back of the student council meetings, or just there's a bunch of fans there. I don't know. They're at a train crossing. What? I'm sure that those symbols have significance that I'm not necessarily always picking up on, but I've learned to accept a lot of these absurdist elements. It's making it more enjoyable that I'm not trying to put extreme meaning on all of them. I don't think I mentioned it in my first video, but I really enjoy the shadow girls that talk before a duel, and like, it seems nonsensical, but it also seems to relate to the themes of it. It feels very Greek chorusy to me. where you just have these people in the background that aren't characters, that aren't involved in the story, that are commenting on the story, but abstractly. I'm sure that they will continue to comment as it goes on, because that's a major part of this show. But yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave part 2 of this series. I'm excited to finish out these final 2 story arcs in part 3, hopefully next week. In the meantime, let me know in the comments below what your favorite anime with queer protagonists is. And until next time, I'll see you later. My Anime Academia. Academia. Don't knock over my light, Loki. Hey. Hey. Battling for the progression. Is that should I sign off like that? Anyways. Have a good one. Ha.